After months of political gridlock, France's 2026 state budget has been adopted following the rejection of two no-confidence motions in Parliament.
Speaking at a security conference in Oslo, EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas denied any rift between NATO and EU members and rejected calls for a European army. SpaceX has begun blocking Russia from using Starlink to control attack drones over Ukraine.
The US Immigration and Customs Enforcement, known as ICE, has a presence outside the country through its branch HSI, the Homeland Security Investigations.
France's 2026 state budget was definitively adopted on Monday, following the rejection of two no-confidence motions in Parliament and months of political gridlock. The motions were tabled in response to Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu's decision on Friday to invoke Article 49.3 of the Constitution, which allows the government to pass legislation without a vote from MPs. One motion was tabled by the far-right National Rally, the other by left-wing parties, excluding the Socialists. Since both failed, the budget has been automatically adopted. Since the 2024 snap elections left Parliament divided, lawmakers have failed to agree on how to fix the country's public finances. Lecornu accused parts of the opposition of causing disorder by blocking budget talks.
Police in Oslo detained the stepson of Norway's crown prince on Sunday, accusing him of assaulting a woman, threatening her with a knife and breaching a restraining order just 2 days before he faces trial on multiple rape charges. Marius Borg Høiby will appear in Oslo District Court on Tuesday, charged with 38 offences, including 4 alleged rapes and attacks on former partners. Prosecutors are seeking to hold him in custody for 4 weeks, citing concerns he may reoffend. The defendant has acknowledged some lesser charges, but contests the most serious allegations. Multiple former girlfriends have joined the case as plaintiffs. A court order prohibits him from contacting them. If found guilty, Høiby could receive a maximum sentence of 16 years. The proceedings are scheduled to continue until mid-March.
EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas rejected calls for a Europe-wide army on Monday. She warned it could create dangerous gaps in the chain of command with NATO. Kallas spoke at a security conference in Norway amid US warnings about shifting priorities. Norwegian Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre told the conference his country monitors Russian nuclear submarines just 100 kilometers away. He challenged President Trump's claim that European NATO members contribute little. Støre highlighted an upcoming NATO exercise with 25,000 troops in northern Norway and Finland.
We are trying to do in European
NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte said Europe cannot defend itself without US support. He urged the EU to more than double military spending to change that.
Right now the situation
Kallas denied any rift between NATO and EU members. She stressed Europe must invest more in defense while working hand in hand with NATO.
Our weaknesses.
Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Polish Secretary of State Ignacy Nimczycki told Euronews on Monday that Russia is intent on prolonging peace discussions and extending its war in Ukraine. Speaking on Euronews' daily morning show Europe Today, Nimczycki pointed to Russia's ongoing strikes on civilian energy infrastructure in Kyiv as proof that it wants to do so. He also added that he hopes the United States can, quote, help convince Russia to be more creative in trilateral peace talks that will resume in Abu Dhabi this Wednesday.
Russia is not negotiating with a goodwill right now. So what we see is that they're trying to prolong the discussion, whereas we strongly believe that Ukraine made a significant effort to find a solution, to find an end to this war. So the question right now is whether Russia wants to end the war or not. Our understanding of the situation is that, unfortunately, they want to continue it.
Nimczycki also spoke on recent developments in Iran. On Sunday, Tehran designated armies of European countries as terrorist groups. It did so in response to the EU's decision to include the Iranian Revolutionary Guard on its list of terrorist organizations. However, Nimchitsky said Iran's response is largely a symbolic one, as it does not carry any practical implications.
SpaceX has begun blocking Russia from using Starlink to control attack drones over Ukraine. Ukraine's Defense Minister Mikhailo Fedorov praised the first steps as delivering real results, saying no Ukrainians have died from Starlink-equipped Russian drones in recent days. Fedorov contacted SpaceX after evidence emerged of Russian forces mounting Starlink terminals on attack drones to strike deeper into Ukraine. These drones can fly low, resist electronic warfare, and operate over long distances. Elon Musk confirmed on social media that efforts to stop unauthorized Russian use are working. Ukraine will now verify all Starlink terminals with a government whitelist. Only registered devices will remain active in cooperation with SpaceX. The measure aims to secure communications and deny Russia a technological edge. Starlink has been crucial for Ukraine since 2022, with over 50,000 terminals supplied.
Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or as most people know it, ICE. The acronym is now recognizable around the world. United States immigration enforcement is at the center of national and international controversy. In January, 2 US citizens were killed by federal immigration officials, one by an ICE agent and another by a Border Patrol official. Aside from its operations on US soil, ICE also has a presence outside the country through its branch HSI, the Homeland Security Investigations. Its agents will be present at the Milan Cortina Olympic Games. HSI has 90 offices, mostly located within embassies in 50 countries.
HSI est une autre branche de ICE, de cette police qui, elle, est donc déployée à l'étranger, au départ pour lutter contre le narcotrafic, contre tout projet terroriste qui pourrait menacer la sécurité intérieure des États-Unis ou de ses alliés ou tout ressortissant américain. Depuis quelques années, HSI est devenue aussi une police de lutte contre l'immigration clandestine.
HSI collaborates with local police and Interpol. Its agents are armed, sometimes heavily, but they are only allowed to use their weapons after having received a mandate from the host country, the researcher adds, while also acknowledging that though the rule exists in principle, reality can lead to a different application in specific cases.
N'oublions quand même jamais que dans certains pays, au gouvernement plus faible, à l'économie plus faible, très dépendant des États-Unis, des pays parfois injustement catalogués, pour reprendre la rhétorique trumpienne, hein, bien évidemment, de pays de merde, cette police s'est permise de dépasser évidemment les règles normalement imposées et d'agir comme bon lui semble.
ICE agents via HSI branches have already been deployed during international events such as the 2024 Olympic Games in Paris, says Scura. Agents will not be patrolling the streets of Milan during the Winter Olympics, which start this Friday, and their role will be strictly advisory, Washington's ambassador to Italy said last week. Their presence has triggered several protests in Rome and Milan.
There have been 2 high-profile killings of US citizens by federal immigration enforcement officials over the past month in Minneapolis as citizens continue to protest against their presence in the city. The dramatic events in Minnesota's largest city were recorded for the Associated Press by award-winning Greek-American photojournalist Angelina Katsanis. She used to live there between 2023 and 2024, knows its residents, and is a first-hand eyewitness to what is happening in the city.
There's a stark difference between what the city looks like now and what it did in 2023. You know, ICE and its takeover of Minneapolis is very omnipresent. Every establishment you go into, there will be people talking about it. So it's really shocking having lived there before and then seeing it after the fact or during the takeover. It's quite shocking how everywhere it is in people's conversations and the streets. as we've seen, eyewitnesses, like it's a dangerous job just being an observer, because both Renee Good and Alex Preddy were just observers to the scene. They didn't have anyone, they weren't detainees, they didn't have anyone that they knew, they weren't protecting any specific person. They were protecting the community and trying to push ICE out in general. So yeah, it's a dangerous job.
Many argue that recent events in the United States are creating an atmosphere of civil war. Angelina Katsani says that residents feel that a takeover from federal agents is underway.
Definitely a federal takeover. Many people are calling it an occupation by the state. The difference between a civil war and this is that the opposition among the civilians, they are only armed with whistles and cameras, phones, documenting what's happening. So they're pushing back, but it's for the most part nonviolent, but I do think that ICE sees it as a civil war. I've talked to agents that say that they are afraid of their lives and people are trying to hurt them. So I think that mentality, for whatever reason they have it, that's causing them to be extra scared and potentially escalate, as we've seen with Alex Preddy and Renee Good and many others as well.
According to Katsanis, almost everyone in USA is afraid because of these events. She adds that fear has taken over not only the city of Minneapolis, but the entire country.